An event, in other words, a point of space-time, can be labeled by the values of its coordinates in the rest frame or by its coordinates in the moving frame. We are talking about two different descriptions of a single event. The obvious question is, how do we go from one description to the other? In other words, what is the coordinate transformation? Coordinate transformation relating the rest frame coordinates t, x, y, z to the coordinate t prime, x prime, y prime, and z prime of the moving frame. So this is rest, this one is moving. One of Einstein's assumptions was that space-time is everywhere the same, in the same sense that an infinite plane is everywhere the same. The sameness of space-time is a symmetry that says no event is different from any other event, and one can choose the origin anywhere without the equations of physics changing. It has a mathematical implication for the nature of transformation from one frame to another. For example, the Newtonian equation, like this one, is linear. It contains only first power of the coordinate. This equation will not survive in its simple form, but it does get one thing right, namely, x prime equals 0 whenever x equal vt. In fact, there is only one way to modify this equation and still retain its linear property, along with the fact that x prime equals 0 is the same as x equal vt. It is to multiply the right side by a function of the velocity. So, this one side, x minus vt multiplied by a function of velocity. At the moment, the function could be any function, but Einstein had one more trick up his sleeve. Another symmetry, the symmetry between left and right. To put it another way, nothing in physics requires movement to the right to be represented by positive velocity and movement to the left by negative velocity. That symmetry implies that this function fv must not depend on whether v is positive or negative. There is a simple way to write any function that is the same for positive and negative v. The trick is to write it as a function of the square of the velocity. So, v square. Thus, this equation, Einstein wrote x prime equals x minus v t times a function of v squared. To summarize, writing fv squared instead of fv emphasizes the point that there is no preferred direction in space. What about t? What about t prime? We will reason the same way here as we did for x prime. We know that t prime equals 0 whenever t equals vx. In other words, we can just invert the rows of x and t and write t prime equals t vx. Now we have function, we call it g function. Now the function of v square. So g is some other possible function. the first equation, this equation here and this equation here, tell us that x prime is 0 whenever x equal vt, and that t prime is 0 whenever t equal vx. Because of the symmetry in these two equations, t prime axis is just a reflection of the x prime axis about the line x equal t and vice versa. What we know so far is that our transformation equation should take the following form. X prime Our next task is to figure out what the function f and g actually are. To do that, we will consider the path of a light ray in these two frames and apply Einstein's principle that the speed of light is the same in both of them. If the speed of light c equals 1 in the stationary frame, it must also equal 1 in the moving frame. To replace this, if we start with a light ray that satisfies x equal t in stationary frame, it must also satisfy x prime equal t prime in the moving frame. Or like this, x equal t, then it must follow that x prime equal t prime. Now, if we look back at these two equations here, setting x equal t and requiring x prime equal t prime give us the simple requirement that, so from these two equations, we have f v square should be equal with g v square. In other words, the requirement that the speed of light is the same in your frame and my frame leads to the simple condition that the two functions f and g are the same. So, we can simplify the equation into just x prime x minus v t square and t prime to find f. Einstein used one more ingredient. In effect, he said, wait a minute, who's to say which frame is moving? Who is to say if my frame is moving relative to you with velocity v, or your frame is moving relative to me with velocity v, minus v? Whatever relationship between the two frames of reference, it must be symmetrical. Following this approach, we could invert our entire argument. Instead of starting with x and t and deriving x prime and t prime, we could do exactly the opposite. The only difference would be that for me, you are moving with velocity minus v, but for you, I'm moving with velocity plus v. Based from this equation here, which express x prime and t prime in terms of x and t, we can immediately write down the inverse transformation. The equation for x and t in terms of x prime and t prime are this. So, x prime, but right now the velocity is negative, so this one becomes positive. So, t. We should be clear that we wrote in this last two equations here by reasoning about the physical relationship between the two reference frames. They are not just a clever way to solve this equation for the unprimed variables without doing the work. In fact, now that we have these two sets of equations, we need to verify that they are compatible with each other. Let's start with the one in the box here and plug in the expression for x prime and t prime from equation this. Yeah, this may seem circular, but you will see that it isn't. After making our substitutions, we will require the result to be equivalent to x equal x and t equal t. How could they be anything else if the equations are valid to begin with? From there, we will find out the form of f function of v squared. The algebra is a little tedious but straightforward. Starting with the first equation in the box here, the first few substitutions for x unfold as follows. Expanding this last line gives us x which simplified to, okay, I think I'm gonna open new page here. Cancelling x on both sides and solving for this f v square give us now we have everything we need to transform coordinates in the rest frame to coordinates in the moving frame and vice versa. So with this, and we plug in into our equation before, this function v squared, and we get x prime equals to x minus vt divided by 1 minus v squared t prime These are, of course, the famous Lorentz transformation between the rest and moving frames. So, a little bit about historical. Yeah. Why they are called Lorentz transformation if they were discovered by Einstein? Well, Einstein wasn't the first to discover the Lorentz transformation. The honor belonged to the Dutch physicist called named Hendrik Lorentz. Lorentz and others even before him, notably George Fitzgerald, has speculated that Maxwell's theory of electromagnetism required moving objects to contract along the direction of motion, a phenomenon that we now call Lorentz contraction. By 1900, Lorentz had written down the Lorentz transformations motivated by this contraction of moving bodies. But the views of Einstein's predecessor were different and in a sense a throwback to older ideas rather than a new starting point. Lorentz and Fitzgerald imagine that the interaction between the stationary ether and the moving atoms of all ordinary matter would cause a pressure that would squeeze matter along the direction of motion. So they believe in what they call a stationary ether. To some approximation, the pressure would contract all matter by the same amount so that the effect could be represented by coordinate transformation. Just before Einstein's paper, the great French mathematician Henri Poincaré published a paper in which he derived the Lorentz transformation from the requirement that Maxwell equations take the same form in every inertial frame. But none of these works had the clarity, simplicity, and generality of Einstein reasoning.